Okay.
Um, so the first thing I kind of want to talk to you about is our file store that we have in MemberClick. So anytime you want to upload a photo or a document, you can never just add the link to the article. You can never just copy and paste the image into the editor. You'll actually need to save it in our in-house file store, which is we call the Media Manager. Do you have a lot of experience, by the way, working in editors and on websites, or is this going to be new for you?
I do the back end of our website, but I don't know if it's the same thing.
Perfect. It's probably got a lot of similarities. So today we're just going to be working on this website tab. This is where all of the tabs that we're going to be accessing are located. So I was just talking about that in-house file store. You probably have worked with something similar in your existing site. So ours is our Media Manager. If I click on this Media Manager, this is going to allow us to save images in here. It's super easy. It's got a documents folder and images folder. You can just upload by selecting this upload button. It's going to bring up all of your computer files, and you can select exactly what you want to save in each of your files within MemberClick. Okay. Something else that's kind of cool is you can create additional folders in here. So if you have sponsor logos, you may want to create an images document called sponsors. And then you can create a folder, and that's going to create a subfolder in here for you, just for a little bit more organization. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. All right, and then let's go ahead and start jumping into how we're going to be creating our articles and how we can access that file store from within our article itself. So I'm going to be using website and articles, and this is going to bring us to our article manager. Now this is going to hold every single article we've ever created in MemberClick in this area. There's a couple of things that you can do to these. You'll notice that there's all kinds of icons up here in the top right-hand corner. The ones that you'll be using most often is new. So if we select this big plus sign, it's new. It's going to allow us to create a new article. We can also move articles to the trash. And if we ever accidentally move an article to the trash, we can always view it and restore it. So we can always bring it back if we need to.
Okay.
And then we can also publish and unpublish articles. So if there's something you're working on and you don't want it to be published quite yet, you can always unpublish it. Although you can also just click on this big green published bar. If you double click on it, it'll unpublish itself. And then you can double click on it and it's going to republish it.
Okay.
If we wanted to make any edits to any of these articles that are already existing, all we have to do is click the link. And that's going to bring us into our editor. We can make the edits right in here just as we were making them like in a Word document. So it's pretty easy.
Okay.
And then to create a new article, I'm actually going to be selecting this new button. And that's going to create a new article for us. For our example today, I'm just going to create an about page.
Okay.
Now, this title is not going to be seen anywhere on the front end. It's really just to help you know what this article is, what's inside of this article.
Okay.
And then you'll notice that an alias automatically populates. This alias is going to be what creates the URL.
Okay.
So to access this article, I would go to ceps.memberclick.net/about, and it would bring us to this article. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right, so now a lot of these things you'll see in here, it's probably a little bit overwhelming at first just because there are so many little buttons and icons in here, but I'm going to break these down a little bit for you. A lot of these things you've used in the past, and a lot of the things you'll never use. So just kind of starting, bolding, italicizing, underlining. I'm sure you're familiar with using those. Straight throughs, and different alignment options. You also can change your font family, your font size, the color of your font. And then you can also change, like if your font's highlighted. Now, even though you can get super customized and do all kinds of fun stuff with these, you'll also notice we have this drop-down that's unique to MemberClick, and these are just formatted fonts. So in here, we've kind of created some pre-formatted fonts for you that you can use throughout the site, such as this heading 1.
Okay.
This is awesome for two reasons. One, it just helps with consistency in the system.
Right.
And then the other piece to that is if your colors ever change for your association, if you ever want to refresh your website, if you ever go through rebranding, whatever it may be, those new colors you can send to us. My designer's going to put those in place. And anywhere that you've used these headings, they're going to automatically update. So you're not going to have to go back through the website and manually update everything. The system's going to do it for you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? Awesome. The next thing that's going to be a little bit different in here is how we're going to add images. So we know that we've saved all those images in our in-house file store, what we call our media manager. But how do we access them, right? So the first thing we'll want to do is place our cursor wherever we want the image to populate.
Okay.
We're going to scroll to the bottom of our editor, and there's a couple of extra buttons down here. One of them says image. If I click this image button, it's actually going to bring up a mini media manager. And in here, we've got all those files that I talked to you about just a minute ago. I know that your logo is in your site, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and grab that. All we have to do is click the image we want to add and then select this image.
Okay.
All right. Now, once we've added this image, we may want to make some changes to it, such as the size, how the text is in relation to the image. We may want to create like a space cushion between the image and the text itself. So to do that, even though it looks like we can move these corners, we really don't want to do this. In fact, don't do this. Instead, just highlight your image and then see this tiny little tree icon up here.
Yeah.
I click that, then I can go to the Appearance tab. And now this is going to allow me to change a couple of things about our image. It also gives us this great little example over here in the right-hand corner. And I love this because if you do something and you're not real sure what you did, this little example is going to show you.
Okay.
So the first thing I'm going to do is change the alignment. The alignment has to do with how the text aligns with the image. My favorite is wrapping the text left to the image. So you'll notice now that image wraps all the way around the image, the text.
Right.
But we can do any of these other ones as well. We can have it start at the top, at the bottom, have it push the image right. The dimensions has to do with the dimensions of the image. Now, if you're like me, I have no idea what dimensions I would want my image to be. You'll notice there's this constrained proportions box down here. As long as I keep this constrained proportions box checked, I can put whatever number I want to in this first dimension, and the second one's going to automatically populate for me. So I don't have to try to figure out what dimensions I need to put in here to precisely keep the proportions of the image. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Awesome. Just a couple more things here. If you want to add that space cushion so that your text isn't backing right up to the image, that's where we can put in some type of number for our vertical or horizontal space. And typically we'll put in 10, and you'll notice I created vertical space. And now I can do horizontal spaces as well. So it's going to create a little bit of space between the text and the image.
Okay.
And then the last thing, we can add a border in here. It's super simple. It's just going to be a black border. But if I wanted to add a border around the image, I would put in border here. And now you'll notice we've got just a very simple black border around that.
Okay.
Once we've kind of done all the things we want to do to the appearance of our image, I'm just going to select Update. And now you'll notice we've pushed the image left. The text is right. We've got that space between the text and the image, and we've added that black border around your logo.
Okay.
Pretty easy peasy?
Yes.
Awesome. There's really just two more things I want to show you how to do in here. And that's going to be how we're going to add, let me go back to my paragraph, how we're going to add external links and how we're going to add internal links.
Okay.
So anytime we want to add an external link, we're just going to grab the text that we're wanting to link up, and we're going to come to the top of our editor, and there's this small little link in here, or a little piece of chain. If we hover it over, it'll tell us exactly what it is. If we click that, all we have to do is put the URL into this slot, and it's going to take us to that link. So I'm going to put in the URL of your home and throw it in here. Now, an extra little tip, anytime you're linking to an external link, that's going to navigate them away from your website. So to prevent that, I always like to open it in a new window. So that's just this target drop down. Open a new window. That'll allow them to click on that link and it'll open up in an extra window so that they can still navigate your site in the original window they were working in. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, cool. And then at that point, all I have to do is hit insert.
Okay.
Now, internal links are a little bit different. An internal link would be anything that's already within MemberClick. For example, if we want to link directly to forms or to another article of content. We're still going to highlight the text we're wanting to link up, but we're going to come down to the bottom of our editor. And this time, do you see this Site Links button down here? At the very bottom. I'm going to select Site Link. And now you'll notice that I can link to any of these items that are within the site. Other articles and community pieces, any forms that we have. We can also link to files. So if I go File, that's going to bring up our mini Media Manager again, where I can access your Documents folder.
Okay.
And then we can just link. I'm going to go ahead and link up to our calendar and insert that. Now, my very favorite thing to do in the site is super fun. Anytime you have an item that's linked up, whether it's internal or external, if we highlight it, use those formatted fonts and choose heading 6, it's going to create this super cool button. How fun is that?
Okay.
Just a couple of other my favorite pieces in here. We have the HTML editor. So if you have HTML, you can always bring that over into the HTML editor. We have an undo button, which is one of my favorite things. I'm always needing to use that. And then all of these little buttons that you see in here, they really just have to do with tables. I don't recommend using tables in our website because it prevents the website from being responsive, meaning if I go on a cell phone, that page is going to look super funky. So I would always leave tables out if at all possible. This line is just a horizontal separator, so some of the stuff's going to be pretty easy for you to navigate around. But for the most part, those are going to be the things that you're using most often in the site creating articles. Okay. Any questions on how we worked any of this?
No.
Awesome. So before I can save this article, I need to set my group access. Group access is just going to be who gets to see this. So we talked previously in our database training about the difference between member types and groups, and so this is the groups and where their permissions come into play. If you only wanted your members to see this article, we would want to make sure we're untagging public and prospect.
Okay.
If your article can be seen by everybody, including prospects and public, you're just going to leave them checked. That's the only difference there.
Okay.
Now, if I hit apply, it's going to change. It's going to make the changes on the front end so I could navigate back to my front page, but it's going to keep me, so I can see what the changes look like, but it's going to keep me on this article in the back end so I can continue to make edits if I need to. But if I've made all the edits I want to and it looks 100% good, I can press save and it's going to save all the changes and bring me back to that article manager we were originally at.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. So now that we've created the article, we need to link it up somewhere so that your members can access it. So right now, it's only on the back end. We don't have it anywhere that anybody will be able to see what this content says. So we need to create a menu item. It's going to feel repetitive, but just always remember, just because you've created the article doesn't mean you've made it available for anybody to view. So we've kind of got to go through that process again by creating the menu item. So to do that, I'm now going to navigate into the website tab, but instead of going to articles, I'm actually going to come right down here to menu item. Do you see that option?
Yes.
Okay. Once I click that, it's going to give me 3 different menu options. So basically what the computer is asking me at this point is, okay, well, what menu do you want to make an update to? What are you changing? Which menu? You do have 3. the main menu, the social network menu, and the member menu. Now, the member menu is on the member landing page. We're going to look at that on our last training. The two are on your front page. The main menu and the social network menu can be found here. The big blue bar is that main menu.
Okay.
And then at the bottom, these little social community icons down here is the social network menu. So if you needed to update any of these icons, where they're going, if your Facebook address changes or whatever, you can do that in the social network menu.
Okay.
The only thing that we really are going to be working on today is the main menu. So I'm going to just select main menu. Now, as this is built out, it's going to show us kind of almost like a structure, like an outline of the tree of your menu. As of right now, you only have a home item, so that's all that we see. You'll notice we've got the same icon options up here in the top right-hand corner. And I want to go ahead and change this. I want to go ahead and add a new menu item. So to do that, I'm just going to select New.
Okay.
Now, this part can get kind of confusing. What it's doing now, what the product is doing now is asking you, okay, well, what type of thing are you making a menu item for? Like, what is your menu item linking to? You can link directly to forms, to any of the community items. What we're going to be linking to and what you're going to be using probably 9 times out of 10 is this single article option here. We know that we just created an article and what we created was a single article. If that ever gets confusing, just ask yourself, front page blog layout. I've never heard of that before. That's kind of fancy. Category blog, category list. Like obviously we haven't done any of that fancy stuff. So it'll always be single article.
Okay.
Once I select single article, now I'm going to have to put in a title for the menu item. So this is actually what's going to show up on your menu structure. So when your member clicks on this button, this is what the button's going to read. I always like to name my menu item the same thing that I named my article, just so that it's easy for me to find what things need to be linked to what. So I'm going to call this About. After I have named my menu item, I'm going to just work my way down here. So I want to display to the main menu. You'll notice that alias, by the way, was created again. That's just, once again, the web URL.
Okay.
Now I'm going to choose a parent item. This is going to determine where this menu item shows up in the menu.
Okay.
So if I want this to be another main menu item next to home, I'm going to highlight top. Top means it's going to show up in the top main menu bar. I also have the ability to make this a sub-menu. If I was creating a sub-menu, I would just highlight home. And now it would be a sub-menu of home, so on and so forth. So like if I created About as a main menu item, when we come back in here, we're going to see About right underneath home. If we wanted to create a sub-menu of About, we would just highlight About, and that's going to create a sub-menu of that. Does that make sense a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. Once again, we can determine if this article is going to pop up in the main menu, in the same window or in a different window. If it's an internal link, I would recommend always just having it open up in the same window.
Okay.
We got to set that group access again. And then the last thing we need to do is select the article. So far, we've told the system we want to make a change to the main menu. We've told the system that we want to make that change with a single article. Now we need to tell the system which single article we're going to be navigating to. So we have to select the article. It's going to bring us all the articles that you have in your article manager. And the most recently created is always going to show up at the top. We just want this to be linked to About, so I'm going to select About.
Okay.
And then at this point, I'm going to save. Before I save, any questions on that process?
No.
Okay. So now you'll notice that we've got our home and About, and if I navigate back to your home page and I refresh this, there's that About tab. And if I click on it, it's going to show us that little example article that we put in there.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Okay. So that's like, to me, the hardest part of our training today. We've got a couple more things we need to touch on. Any questions on this before I keep moving forward?
No.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate back to the administrative side of our site. And the next thing I want to talk about are widgets. So your home page, which is just this, if I go back home, all of these pieces here are comprised of widgets because that's what allows your website to be responsive. So what's going to happen is if I look at your website on a cell phone, which I would totally recommend you taking a look at what this is going to look like on a cell phone because it'll make sense, you'll see that all of these sections are going to stack. So like this menu item is going to stack on top of this menu item, which will then stack on top of this. So well, I can just show you.
Right.
So see how these are all stacking on top of each other?
Okay.
So because these are widgets, they're not articles. They're actually held in the widgets tab. So to show you where that's located, we're going to be going under website and widgets.
Okay.
Now, I like the fact that the home page pieces are held in this separate area because to me, it's easier to find. And usually your home page is what you're going to be making changes to most frequently. So instead of having to like sort through all of your articles, they're right here. So I think it's a little bit easier to find them because of that.
Yes.
Now, point out where these all these widgets are located. You've got homepage main, homepage left, and homepage right. So you'll need to come in here. This is going to be a little bit of a piece of homework from training today for you to come in here and update your homepage main content, your homepage left, and your homepage right. So these are all these three. You've got homepage main. That's going to affect this area. Homepage left, which is going to affect this left column, and then homepage right, which is going to affect this right column. Now, we've already got some buttons in here for you, but if you accidentally delete them, you can create those buttons just like I showed you by linking up some text and then using heading 6 for that linked text.
Okay.
So if I want to make some changes to the homepage main, I could just click in here and I'm going to put a little instruction. So I'm going to say to make changes to the homepage main, navigate to website. Oh my goodness, website widgets, and select the homepage main for this area. So I left a little tip in there for you. So now if I go back to the homepage, you'll see where this reflected. To make changes to the homepage main, navigate to website widgets and put the homepage main for this area. All right, so then we have slider images. Slider images are just going to affect the slider images that are scrolling across your home screen. If I click on this, you're going to see all those pictures in here. If we wanted to change any of these, the first thing is we always need to make sure that all of these images are the exact same size. Anytime these images start being different sizes, it's going to get super weird and not good. So always make sure that your pictures are the same. And we're going to insert images just like we inserted images, or just like we inserted an image into our article. So I'm going to place my cursor right next to this last image. We're not going to do any spaces. We're not going to enter down. We don't have to do anything. We're going to make sure that that cursor is lined right up to the back of the last image. I'm going to select image. And then I'm going to dive into one of our folders, and I can select the image from here. All I have to do is select it, insert the image, and at this point, I know we already have this one at the very top, but at this point, we've now added this image into our slideshow, so we would see this slideshow through twice.
Okay.
And if you wanted to take this out, all you have to do is highlight it and delete it out, and that's all you have to do.
Okay.
So it's super easy to change. Member landing page, my name is. So when your members are logging into the website, they're going to be brought to a member landing page. This is awesome because it kind of greets them with something a little bit more personalized, which will be this name tag. And it's going to data merge their info in from their profile. If you don't like the information that's data merging in from their profile, all you have to do is highlight whatever you don't want to data merge in, come to the bottom of your editor. You'll notice you've got a merge data tool down here. So if I select that, Now I can change or select a different field that I want to merge in. So it'll bring in any field from their profile, which is pretty cool. We'll just select it. I'm going to do member type again. I'm going to merge it, and then it's added it, which is what was already in there. But
Okay.
All right. Footer info. That's just going to be the information all the way at the bottom down here. So this is your footer info, that copyright 2017. If you ever need to update that for any reason, boom, it's going to be right in your footer widget.
Okay.
Your login container, I'm going to skip this one for just a second. Your login container and announcement. So your login container is this gray box right here. If for any reason you don't like this gray box, we can turn this off, and it's going to give you a little bit of a different look. So to show you, now it's just got this green button that says member logout.
Okay.
If you want to turn that login box back on. So it's not on now. If I refresh, it'll be on, and then it offers that little box again. The reason I like this gray box is because if you're not logged in, you'll actually be able to put your login credentials within this box. So to show you what I'm talking about, if I go to CEPS. So if it doesn't recognize me being logged in, I can put my username and password right here. Whereas if this is turned off, I can't do that within this box. I'm going to hit like a login button, and then it's going to bring me to a login page. So that's kind of the only difference there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now, since I'm here, the other thing I want to show you is if I'm ready to log in, it's going to bring me to this member login page. Now, you have the ability to add content above this login area or below the login area if you want to. Most of the time, associations don't pull with information in this area. I have had an association that put something along the lines of, not a member, register with us today by taking our membership application. We'd love to have you. So they kind of used it as another area to advertise their association, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
If you want to add anything above or below the login section, that is just going to be custom login page content lower half and custom login page content top half. So it's just going to be these two here. Like I said, you'll probably never need to mess with these.
Okay.
The very last thing that I want you to update for homework is this announcements area. So you'll notice on the home page, you've got this announcements widget.
Okay.
These announcements are going to pull from that widget. So you can put in here whatever you want to add in for announcements. Right here. Okay. All right. How are you feeling? Any questions on any of those widgets?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Awesome. When you dive in here, you may come up with a few more, but this training, hopefully recording the training and sending it to you will help a lot with any questions that you come across. Okay. Two more things I want to talk about, and we're kind of like blowing through this training. I don't know how we're getting through it so fast. So I want to talk to you about the calendar. Are you guys going to be posting events within your calendar and member clicks to advertise?
Yes, probably. Yes, we will.
Cool. Is there a real time event that's coming up that we could use as an example for you?
We have a boot camp coming up in July.
Perfect. So I'm just going to work into my community tab.
Okay.
And select calendar. This is actually going to look a little bit different. I apologize. I'm logged in as me instead of you. When you get in here, just expect for this to look a little bit differently. Don't let it throw you off. You're only going to see these first three buttons. So the only buttons that will be available to you is manage events, manage categories, and manage locations. These will not be available to you. So we're actually going to work a little bit backwards. When you get ready to add an event, you're always going to want to start by adding the location. So on the manage locations, we'll notice there's nothing in here. So we've got the same icons that we had when creating articles and menu items. So that makes it pretty easy. We're just going to select new.
Okay.
And this is going to allow us to add in a location. Now, this location is separate from your event. So you can use this location for 25 events that are coming up. Maybe if you have the same, or if you have a lot of your events all held at similar locations. And you can add as many locations to your location manager as you want to. So for that event that you said that was coming up, do you have an address in front of you by chance that we could go ahead and put in here?
Just a moment. I can get it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
$200 East Main Street, or it's the Hilton Branson Convention.
Where did you say it was held at? What was the name of the place?
Hilton Branson Convention.
Is that right? Did I butcher that? Branton.
Yes.
Spell that for me.
Branson.
That's good.
Branson.
Got it.
Like,
Okay. What city is that in?
Branson.
Okay.
Missouri 65616.
Was Missouri in the
MO.
MO? Oh my goodness. And then you said
65616.
Cool. Now you can also add in a telephone number or a web address. Website for the location. So I'm sure the Hilton Branson has a website that you could link them to.
Right.
The one thing that I want to point out here is you'll notice that if I just put this in, it still is keeping this Google map in Atlanta where our office is located, and you don't want your members trekking all the way down to Atlanta.
Right.
So to make this Google map go to the location you want it to, all you have to do is hit find address. And now you'll notice that it's right in the area it needs to be. So this will allow your members to click on this map and it'll bring up directions on how to get there, which is awesome. But I have a lot of associations that forget to hit that find address, and I go into their calendar and I've got like 50 events, which is awesome, but it looks like they're all in Atlanta. So
okay.
You've got an editor down here at the bottom as well. This editor works just like the one that we looked at previously that we built the article in. So you can add a description here about the event if you want to, but this would literally be just about this would be just about the location, not the event.
Okay.
At this point, I can save. Now, the second piece to this, we've created the location. We want to create a category. The categories are going to be what allows us to color code our calendar. So we've got a default one in here called event. But if you wanted to create a new one, you said what kind of event was it, the boot camp?
Yeah, boot camp.
So if you wanted all of your boot camps to be in one color, you can get in here, make a category specifically for that to the color. Now, I like to do a custom color. So I've got this cool color picker on my browser, and I can grab the hex value, and I can actually use a custom color. Now, you don't have to get this fancy. You can totally just choose a color from provided, but I use this color for this side. Yeah. Have to use yours. At this point, I can save. Now, I need to make sure this is published, otherwise this entire category will not be included in your calendar.
Okay.
Now, the last step is going to be actually creating the event. So we've created the location, we've created the category. Now we're actually creating that event. So I'm going to go to Manage Events, I'm selecting New, and this was called
Patient Safety Boot Camp.
Patient Safety. Cool. So we're going to put in the name, We're going to choose that category, which we just made called boot camp. What date is this on? You said July
25th.
Awesome. And does it go through until?
No, just the 25th. It's a one-day event, all day, pretty much.
Cool. What time does it start?
7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Perfect. So you can notice what? Yeah, that's right. You'll notice I'm putting in the times. I can also say no specific end time. Now, if this is something that repeats, you can have this repeat. What's really cool is you can tell this to repeat like the first Monday of every month. Like just do the first, maybe it's the first week of every month on a Monday, and you can have it repeat until a date that it no longer applies.
Okay.
You can also say that it's not repeating. Now in here, you're going to add information about the event. We're going to, at the bottom, select location. Now what a lot of my associations do is within this description area, they'll link to a form. So you can link to a registration form or an RSVP form.
Okay.
And you can do that by, once again, using that site link at the bottom of the editor. And then you can even get fancy with it and make it a button just by linking to that internal link and then using that heading 6 to create the button.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and select the location. So I'm going to select location. That's going to bring up all the locations from our manager, which we only have one right now. And then the last thing we need to do is once again determine this permission. So if anybody can come, we're going to toggle everybody. If only members can come, once again, we're just going to make sure we're untagging prospect and public.
Okay.
Now we can save, and we're done. So if I go back to your home page, you'll notice you've got this calendar widget, and this has popped right up in here for us.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Now I can view the full calendar, and that's going to bring up your entire calendar. We've got those color codes at the top here. I'm going to navigate to July. There's that event. If I hover over it, it's going to give me a little bit of info. And then if I click it, it's going to bring up the information about the event. It's going to bring up the Google Calendar. It's going to bring up where it is, when it is. And then your members can also download this here. Yes, it will be.
Okay.
Yeah, I can change this, so it will be in your time.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. And then they can download this as a to their iCalendar if they have one that they use frequently.
Okay. Cool.
And that is everything. Any questions on how we got through that process?
No, I'll probably have some when I start doing it, but can I get in there like now and practice and stuff?
You sure can. Yeah.
Okay.
You should have your login credentials, but you can get in here right now and go ahead and start working in this.
Okay. Let me make sure. I haven't logged in yet, so I have to find my login. Stuff.
This should have been included in that first follow-up email I sent you from our kickoff call. Here we go. I'm going to resend it to you.
Okay, that'd be great. I have to go through a bunch of emails.
Mm-hmm. I just sent it.
Okay.
Now, the very last thing that I want to talk about is that content center, or contact center. We talked about the contact center briefly on our database training and how you can use your profile list to grab those people you want to talk to, and you can pull them into the contact center.
Right.
Now, this is what you're going to send your welcome email out of. I'm going to have some templates saved in here for you. You'll have a welcome email, a newsletter, and then a basic email template. When you dive in here, it's going to look like there's nothing here. You always have to hit this show button.
Okay.
You'll be able to load these messages into the editor, but this editor works the same way as when we were creating articles and adding different events to your calendar. So you can add images just like what I showed you. You can add internal site links, external site links. You can change your images just like I showed you by using that tree icon. Now, you can attach files. However, I would never recommend doing that because attaching a file increases the opportunity for an email to wind up in the spam folder. So just think back to if you ever have a document you need to share, you can save it in your media manager, that in-house file store, and link it as an internal link within the email. And that's going to help prevent your emails from winding up in spam. Okay?
Okay.
We're going to look at this a little bit more together, and we're also going to be sending out your welcome email to your members together using this. So you'll definitely get plenty of practice, but I just kind of wanted to go ahead and review that with you real fast. Okay. All right. And that is all I've got today. Any questions? Feeling good?
No, I think we're pretty good.
Awesome. So on my end, I need to have make sure my designer gets all of your content loaded in and create your menu structure for us. So I'm going to check up with him on that, see when he thinks that'll be complete. And then the second thing, I'm going to go ahead and stop our